Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about how can you stand out with retail chain store buyers. So if you have a great product and you're trying to stand out to these buyers to get them to buy from you, this training will give you some things to think about and how to get started today. With that said, let's get started on today's training. So let's talk about how you can make your product stand out to retail chain store buyers. A buyer buys a product for many reasons. It could be that you've been very successful. That's what you all presume, right? You need to have a lot of success in order to get a product in the stores, meaning you've sold a lot of your products, the world knows about you. Sure, any buyer would like that, right? But let's use an example that happened with one of my clients years ago. Somebody came to me and created a game, and that game was based off another game. They improved it, they made it cooler. I guess there was a trend going on. The Amazon sellers sometimes go and look for cool trends, and then they create an improved product. It was a game for kids. And she wanted to get her products into like Michael's stores and so forth. And really, that product matched really well with a successful product in their stores. So when we walked her through what to do, she went to Michael's and they looked at the product, and she'd never sold it into stores, and it just really wasn't her forte, sales. But she followed a process, and the buyer said yes. Why? Because it was a product that was a better version of what she's already doing phenomenally well with. And in that case, even though she had no proven anything beyond the fact that it was a newer version, and she did have a little bit of sales, but not much, she got a 50,000 unit order request on the spot. Now, that doesn't typically happen. Usually they start very small, these buyers at chain stores. They want to test out your product, but her inclination was to give this woman such a big order opportunity because she knew it was going to sell. Why? Because it's a hot trend and it was well made. She did a good job with it and she knew she could run with it. Doesn't happen very often. It happens though. That's an example of how you can make a product stand out to a retail chain store buyer. Bring her something that's trending, that's exciting, that's interesting. Another way to get a buyer to believe that she should work with you is to not submit your product into their website and hope for a return on investment. The reason I say that is that when you are dealing with retail chain store buyers, they're looking at they basically are responsible typically for just a few products at a time. So they are focused on categories, right? So if they're into fashion accessories, that's what they're looking at all day. If it's a computer peripheral, they're looking at that all day. It's how it works with chain stores. They usually have a buyer focused on a category or two sometimes, and really maybe three if it's a small category, whatever. You get my point. The point is that if these buyers are looking at the same products all day long, every single day, like seriously, it's their career. They know everything, right? So when you submit your product on their website or arrange me, wherever it is that you put your product, what you're doing is you're placing your product right next to 1,000 of your competitors, right? Because there's a lot of people trying to sell products to them. I don't believe in general that is the best way to go because for over 20 something years, we've been selling to the world's largest retailers. So personally, all I've seen all these years, even with all the new technology and all the new websites and all the things, and trust me, we weren't selling that way back in early 2000s and so forth. It was different. I'll tell you that all you're doing is putting yourself in front of your competition and having her have to pick between you and someone else who might have some better words that they placed on that site. It doesn't always convert well for you. We teach people how to find the appropriate buyer, how to reach out to them directly. And although it's a little bit more complicated, it generally gets the job done 50 times more than just submitting it with the hopes of success. Now, if you have gotten success because you submitted your product, then I am so happy for you. But for the rest of us who are just trying to make a living, pay our bills, do what we got to do, it doesn't always convert. And for those of you, it's probably because you're not getting in front of the buyer and having an individualized experience with that particular buyer who has the purse strings to be able to change your life, which means a lot of money in your hand if she likes your product. So sometimes you got to work a little bit harder based on category, buyer, situation, and so forth. That's what I would say to stand out. Try and learn a little bit more about how to get into that world without just submitting your product onto websites and so forth, letting everyone know about you, because you're generally going to be right next to your competition. Doesn't mean you shouldn't submit your product anyways. It's probably not going to work most of the time. The sales professionals know they got to go direct to buyers. And the final thing I would say about making your product stand out is really, what's a buyer? She's looking for things to buy, right? So why would she buy stuff? She'd want to buy stuff if it's actually going to make her money. So can you talk about things that'll make her money? Are you going to help her in any way to get the word out about your product? These are things that can really support a buyer if she wants to consider your product. She really is looking for a partner, someone who can support her. And the more conversation around that can be the difference between you making millions of dollars or not with that particular retailer. This is Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. If you want to know everything there is to know about approaching, reaching out, selling to retailers, even if you never had sales experience in your entire life or buyer relationships, please take a look at our website, retailmba.com. We have do-it-yourself programs like our Retail MBA core coaching and training system, as well as our webinars and our live events. We would love to support you with selling to retailers. Karen Waksman, Retail MBA. Thanks so much.